Hi guys, Mew2king. No, it's just me. Anyway, I'm just here to tell you that there's been a major Melee announcement. Basically, Melee Netplay, as you know, for those that don't know, you can play Super Smash Bros. Melee online. Now, this is something called Netplay, which has been slowly, constantly getting better over time. There's been things like Faster Melee, Slippi, and basically Slippi has a new update where you can now play Melee online with even less lag than before. It's something called rollback netcode. It's basically just better online. I've been observing Twitter and I've been playing a bit myself. Basically, it feels more like a CRT than the old Melee. So you know how like something like Ultimate Online will have some input delay? Melee Online had less input delay, but now that less is even more less. So now it's more imitating CRT, and the distance matters less as well. First off, I'm going to link everything in the description below. So check the YouTube description if you want links to all these things. Organize it just to make it easier, grow the community and whatnot. But basically, there's a few new updates to it. There's integrated matchmaking, which means you can actually just press unranked here at the very top. You just press A, pick a character, A, press start, and wait for it to start. That's it. Those are the only steps. And then you match against some random person in unranked. If you just want to get into a quick melee match, you don't want to wait, just press AA, basically. You can just start like immediately, practically. The other thing you can do is direct matches, play a specific person. So my code is like Kodu number 737, and let's say I wanted to put in someone's code. Let's say like their code, like just pick a character and well, you press start. You press the start button, and then what is his name like? Let's say I'm fighting a DCNL, and then it's like number 653 or something, and then you just press start, and then you press start, and basically you lock into the thing. I just made up this number, so it's not going to show, but that's basically all you have to do, and you can just do this. It's still pretty early. Like I was having trouble connecting earlier on, but everyone was because the servers were overloaded. But basically, this is if you're interested in Melee in any way, this is something you should download. And Domo, you can now explain rollback netcode, and I also have an announcement at the end of the video.
All right, guys, Domo here. So essentially, what we're all used to as Smash Brothers players is delay-based netcode. Basically, if your connection between you and your opponent is not very good, you press a button, and that input comes out, so many milliseconds later based on the latency between you and the other person. What delay-based netcode does is it actually simulates the game instead of relying on delay. And if your connection is not so good, then you might see you and your opponent might do a little bit of a teleport, but you won't be dropping any of your inputs, so you won't drop any punishes or combos or anything like that. In fighting games, it's extremely important to have this because poor connections can affect your ability to play against someone and perform. In this case, Fizzi, who is someone who's been working on Project Slippi for a while, you can actually follow him on Twitter. We'll have a bunch of links in the description. Came up with a way to incorporate delay-based netcode in Melee Netplay, and it actually does work. If you follow the instructions in the video that Fizzi actually uploaded, you should be pretty much good to go. But in some cases, I'll actually explain. If you have a good enough graphics card, you can actually set your graphics card to run it in low latency mode. I highly recommend you do this. Otherwise, you won't see as much of a difference as you normally would with Melee Netplay. But in some cases, you can even set it to ultra mode. We've actually set it to ultra mode on our side, and we've seen some real results. So if you have that option, I definitely encourage you to test both and see for yourself. But if you want, Jason, you can actually go and show us how it's done.
So one of the main options here is unranked, which is the top option. So all I have to do is press the A button, and then you just pick like any character. So I'll just pick Falcon because whatever. And then basically all you have to do is press start. Within a few seconds to a few minutes, it varies. Usually it takes like less than a minute. You can find a match, and the matches, even if it says something like 60 ping, it's not the same as the 60 ping from the past. In the past, 60 ping would be like borderline, I wouldn't say borderline unplayable, but it would be very noticeable. Like it would not feel anything like a CRT. But if you're playing a 60 ping match on here, which is kind of like it's like kind of like the average one, it's actually a much better connection on average. Usually it doesn't take this long to grab a match. Sometimes I've had times that I did this and it took 5 seconds to find a match. I've had some that were a few minutes, but I've also had some that was actually literally 5 seconds. So this guy, let's check his delay. He has a ping of 104 to 89 range. Yet this ping, it doesn't feel bad at all. Like normally you do something like this and like, wow, this is unplayable. But as you can see, like look, you can see my movement. It's like does this look bad to you? Like, doesn't this look like a CRT? I'm telling you, this feels like a CRT. It's actually kind of crazy. Like, I'm actually, for the first time, actually like excited about like playing Melee for like fun online stuff. Woo! So basically, like, dude, 90 ping. Do you think I could do this on 90 ping normally? Look how smooth this is. This is basically what rollback netcode is. I mean, honestly, like, I don't know much on the rollback netcode, but you can clearly see that, like, wow, this is actually crazy good. I know I'm not paid to say this. Like, I gain nothing by saying this except growing the Melee community with. But I'm not. I wouldn't say something like that if it wasn't like the honest truth. Like, this actually is just really good. No. All right. Not every single input comes out perfectly, but it's significantly better than it was in the past. It's still a lot better than it was in the past, honestly. Normally, this would be freezing and being like super inconsistent with a connection this bad. But that's a 90 ping game. If you've ever played Melee Netplay this past year, you would know a 90 ping game is basically unplayable. That was playable. That did not feel like a 90 ping game. Like, yeah, it could have been a lot better. Could have been like 40 ping. It's not as good as a normal 40 ping game, but that is a lot better than a 90 ping game used to be, and it is not close. Not every single input comes out perfectly, but the amount of inputs that come out is significantly more consistent than it was in the past. And that is my honest opinion. So I was just trying to show a random match. I actually got one of the highest ping matches I've gotten thus far. But that just shows that's pretty much as bad as it gets for the most part. My sample size isn't huge, but that was worse than most connections I've played. And yet it was still pretty good. And you can find stuff. Again, if you some matches, it takes a few minutes. If it takes a few minutes, you might want to just click here. Might want to go back, and then might want to go forth and press start. And then load it again. But sometimes it only takes a few seconds. So it varies between a few seconds to a few minutes. If it takes a few minutes, I would just go back and try again. So yeah, I highly recommend downloading this because it's really low lag. Like, I'm somebody who's really picky. And Wizrobe is really picky. Wizrobe messes me and said, this is way better than before. So yeah, it's not going to be as good as a CRT. It's never going to be as good as a CRT. Like, there is going to be... there's always going to be, like, for example, when you're edgeguarding Falco Illusion, it's still not going to be synced up perfectly. However, this is still a huge upgrade from before, and this is probably the best we're going to get. This is probably the best Smash Online ever will be, or maybe they'll exceed expectations again. Anyway, this is basically a middle ground between what Netplay used to be and CRT. Now for my announcement. I've actually been in the works of this for a while. It's just a coincidence that the Melee Netplay thing came out today, like the new announcement. I wasn't expecting to make this announcement so soon, but I feel that like, I should take advantage of the fact that a lot of eyes are on the Melee because of the Melee Netplay thing, so I figure right now it makes sense to make this announcement now. But I'm basically going to get into serious coaching, and I don't mean just a little bit. I've been doing this on and off for the past, like, 10 months, like, here and there, 1v1s with people, but I didn't really have it in, like, a very organized fashion. I thought it was just going to be, like, a few people at once, but I noticed that the interest level was higher than I expected, and I realized, wait, I should actually take this very seriously. I've coached players like Wizrobe, Salem, MK Leo, Zero, and many other players who became top players before I knew they were going to become top players, and I just kept helping people reach the next level, and history shows that I've just been something good at that. I've been good at that, and I have a lot of knowledge of Smash, and I'm very good at theorycraft. So I've definitely, I actually believe, I'm somebody who doesn't believe in my ability a lot. I believe in my ability to make people better, and I believe in my ability to give like good information because I've been doing this like half my life, and Melee is probably the game I'll do it the easiest with. Like, that's probably the easiest for me, but I can probably do it. I can do this in any Smash game. As I said, the people I've mentioned above was literally like 4 different Smash games that helped them on. So yes, I am not quite ready for this yet, but in the coming weeks, I will have a more up-to-date announcement with a lot more concrete info in the coming weeks. For now, if you're interested in coaching by me, coaching and lessons, it will be paid, but if you're interested in like really taking your game to the next level and or supporting me or both, please email me at Mew2kingrec@gmail.com. So Mew2kingrec@gmail.com. This will also be in the comments and description below. I recommend going into the Melee Netplay and like making an account there and just testing it out and seeing, hey, maybe you can get back into the game. Now you can actually get practice. So, you know, that times are in a situation where you can't really travel much, but this makes it so we actually can. And I must say, as somebody who plays Ultimate Online and Melee Online, and I'm really, really like strict on Melee Online. Like, I was the type of person who didn't even like Melee Online, compared to everyone else. And even people like me and Wizrobe who are sensitive to this stuff, we find it to be at a pretty good level now, like better than anything else in the past for Smash Online. So yeah, I highly recommend doing that stuff. And if you're interested, make sure to send me an email. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Make sure you follow me on Twitter and YouTube, because a more updated announcement will be very soon.